Greetings, YouTube. When I was at the University of Missouri in my undergraduate studies, 10 years ago, I took a class called The History of the Reagan Years. It was about President Ronald Reagan and all that he did in his 2 terms as the American president in the 1980s. Now, I don't know what your politics are watching this. I don't know if you know who that is. I'm not telling you what to think, but it was a great class and I learned a lot. And Ronald Reagan had this famous phrase that became very popular, not just in his presidency, but after it. It was trust but verify. And what that means is that you might think you trust someone, but you have to verify what they say in order for their actions to follow their words. And so it's just empty rhetoric if they don't. I've talked a lot in the past month about my trust issues and how the game has really fed into that. And I will say, in fairness, to start this video off, Kabam has done some things I really, really like in 2020. I've talked a lot about this, but it is worth pointing out since they continue to put out these trash Tier 2 Alpha and Tier 5 Basic Catalyst deals, especially for those of you who are uncollected, that the Glory Store improvements are still by far the best thing I've seen in the last year. And I have gotten to the point where I still can max out all 5 of my purchase limit. I'll just use all of my Glory every week on Tier 5 Basic Catalyst fragments. And so every couple weeks, getting a fully formed Tier 5 Basic for free with Glory is unbelievably clutch. And I am so thankful for that, and I'm so thankful that Kabam did that. I get that people are saying, well, that's because we're getting ready for Tier 6 Basic and Tier 3 Alpha. Well, that's true, but let's not look a gift horse in the mouth, and let's be thankful for that. I also want to say one of my favorite things about 2020 is our very own Dork Lessons awesome interviews with the Kabam development team. Every time I watch those, it just seems like a bunch of good people who are doing their best to make the game better, who are down to earth, and it's nice to add a face to the company because usually you just read like forum posts and it's just people behind a keyboard and it's hard to feel sometimes like they're even human beings. It's hard to remember they're human beings. So Kabam has a lot of good people who work at it, and I don't want to have that point be discounted by what I'm about to say. But with that being said, it almost feels like sometimes their team is on different planets, and even with some different mods, like a forum mod or a Kabam forum operator will put out a message that's incredible. It's well worded, it's empathetic, it's transparent, and it's encouraging. It's positive. And I think, gosh, what a great message. And then somebody else, less than a day later, will put out a message that's rude, that's attack-based, that's offensive, that's condescending as hell, and that doesn't even seem like it is in touch with the complaints, some very valid complaints by a large portion of the player base. Well, we have seen Kabam try to do some public relations control this week with trying to preview what's to come. I do think overall, though of course nothing's ever perfect, that the big step in the right direction with taking away the Alliance treasury is hopefully getting more bots out of the arena and basically getting this whole black market of cheaters that dump resources into shell alliances out of the game. I think that is going to hopefully have a positive impact on the arena and certainly a positive impact on everybody who doesn't cheat. So that's good, right? But at the same time, Kabam's also saying we want the game to be more fun. We don't want you to have to feel like you have to take in the same 5 champions to clear everything. They've been saying that for a long time, ever since before patch 12.0. In fact, the reason why they did patch 12.0 is because they didn't want everybody to just rank up and awaken Scarlet Witch and Black Widow and Thor and Doctor Strange, etc., even though they just put an offer out a couple months before where we finally got a chance to guarantee ourselves the class 4-star awakening gem of our choice at that point for like $100 to be able to awaken the champion. So they made a bunch of money off of it, and then they made them worse. And that was the first time that I thought, oh, this company is shady as hell. So with that being said, I want to touch on 2 things, 2 offers that are in the thumbnail of this video, because actions do speak louder than words. The first is the continued crazy inflation of signature stones, both the 5-star and the 6-star variety. Thankfully, these featured Cavalier daily specials and regular Cavalier daily specials for Sundays, because it's not the featured crystal, it's the regular crystal with the 1% drop rate for 6 stars and the 11% drop rate for 5 stars instead of 17%. That's still the regular Cav. But you get 5 generic signature stones that are 5 stars And then also some tier 5 basic catalyst fragments that are pretty decent and, not the smallest amount of 6-star shards for $5, right? Compare that to this. And I just want to say, I'm not defending the people I'm about to bring up fully, because you should read the messages before you purchase. But this is the Marvel Casino of Champions for a reason. Opening crystals gives your brain the same dopamine high that pulling the handle or pressing the button of a slot machine does. It gives you the same kind of dopamine brain activity that some drugs do. So for everybody who always says you shouldn't call this Marvel Casino of Champions, that's not fair to this game. It's absolutely a casino that gives the brain the same kind of dopamine addiction that a lot of illegal substances, for that matter, do. I say that because this can be an addiction, unlike anything in a lot of other mobile games. I'm not saying that can't happen in other games. Of course it can. But it is disguised as fun. And I know people who are so addicted to opening up crystals that they go in here, they look at the banner, and they see the 5 stars. They don't even look at the 4 stars. They don't read the in-game announcement. And they see the price tag is $50, which is the retail price for the last 2 years of a 5-star basic crystal. And they think, oh, I'm going to spend $50 for a 5-star, and I get to choose the class. And of course, the banner is showing you getting a 5-star Corvus and a 5-star Stark Spidey and a 5-star Ghost Rider, a 5-star Void, a 5-star Blade, a 5-star Domino, etc. It's not showing you getting a 5-star OG Iron Man, a 5-star Satan herself, Kamala Khan, a 5-star Thor Jane Foster. Even the MODOK is actually kind of honest. I'm surprised there isn't like Human Torch in that banner. They probably just got lazy and they're using older banners because these banners don't really look updated at all with the newer champs. So they're even being pretty lazy when it comes to recycling of their marketing materials. But this has tricked some people today into thinking they're buying a 5-star focus bundle or at least a 5-star crystal. And it's not until they've actually made the purchase that they realize that they just bought a 4-star crystal for $50. And while it's not guaranteed that it's a 4-star, keep in mind that it's a 80% drop rate for a 4-star. So yes, it is pretty dang close to being certainly the majority of the time you will get a 4-star. This crystal should have been at max $20, but really when you consider where the game is and how you can't even take 4 stars into Act 6 and beyond, which still makes no sense to me because if people want to be brave enough or risky enough to take champions with that small of attack and health pool into Act 6, they should be able to do it because they're probably going to be making a lot more money off of them because they're going to be dying a lot more because they don't have much of a margin for error even when they parry to lose their champion and have them be knocked out, especially by all the BS nodes in Act 6. But, somebody brings up that point to also say that if you are somebody that's really good at this game, but you don't even have 5 good 5 stars, you can't even attempt to become Cavalier because you only can use 5 stars and 6 stars. And so there are people who push themselves to try to become Cavalier because they see all the many pros of becoming Cavalier, but they can't use any of their best 4 stars because of the restrictions. And so deals like today just screw these players over. And it's not just offensive to them, it's flat out disrespectful. And it just shows how this company is so concerned with squeezing every dollar out of their player base that even at a time where people are quitting right and left, they're still going to price gouge. And on top of that, you've got some people, because every time you see defenders of Kabam in the comments, I'm just curious, what are these people saying? And one of the comments is, Prof, I can't believe that you don't think this is a fair deal. This is clearly for people who are newer to the game, and my personal favorite part of this comment, and don't know any better. Yes, because you should totally mug somebody because they don't know any better. That's ethical. Well, yeah, except it's not for new players. For a limited time, the Legendary Focus Bundles are available for those who have become a conqueror by completing Act 4 or higher. You don't just download the game, and the average player complete Act 4 in a week or heck even a month, maybe a couple months. And so, no, this is not for people who are starting out. This is for people who are almost to becoming uncollected because, of course, uncollected is in Act 5. This is for people who have access to Act 5 because they've completed Act 4. I also have to say something that really is on my mind. And that is that the $50 price point that Kabam is now throwing out with so many of these bundles is the same price that you can almost get a used console game on. I've been told, because I haven't played a console game for quite some time, but I've been told that a lot of console games are now like $60 or $70. But keep in mind that if you're in another country, by the time you do the conversion rate of the $50 American and add tax, it is $70 or $80 of your currency that you're paying. But regardless, it's just so much money for so little. And I've also been told that other mobile games, even other Marvel games, are doing such a better job of offering value to their customers during this pandemic. It's like everybody else is trying to understand and empathize with the fact that there are quite a few people, if you've seen the lines on TV, especially in the American news, who can't afford food right now. They're in food bank lines. They can't have rent. And yet they're price gouging items to try to take advantage of people more than ever. It's just the most out of touch, cruel thing I've seen. And I'm still hearing horror stories, one of which I'm going to make a video on at some point, of certain players who have proof that they're being double charged for things like this Daily Cavalier special. And yet, because Kabam now owns the refunds, they make you go through 100,000 different hoops, it feels like, to prove that you even purchased something. And then by the time you prove it, a lot of times, because this happened to me, they'll say, well, thank you for submitting all that information. We can't help you. So there are some people who are trying to get the authorities involved, and quite frankly, I don't blame them. Kabam, actions speak louder than words. You have proven in the month of May that you don't get it. And that even if some people get it, and I do think there are plenty of good people working for Kabam, you're not all on the same page. The marketing team is the worst I've ever seen it since Mother's Day in this month. You have not put out an offer that deserves anything higher than an F. It is a U grade. It is unsatisfactory. But really, sometimes when I give a student a U, they were almost satisfactory. So that's why I tend to not even use that grade, because it's deceiving. Because there's nothing about this that came close to passing, other than passing the buck off to the players who are addicted to your game and can't help but throw money they don't have at offers they can't afford. YouTube, the only way that they're going to listen is if we don't purchase trash offers. And there's no reason why anybody should purchase this today. They need to realize more than ever that we should be taken seriously as a player base, and that we don't mind spending money on purchases, but they need to be pro player and not just pro Kabam.